So, to begin with, in case anybody here doesn't know who we are, this is Emilia, and my name's Eli, and we were delegates or alternates to the Democratic National Convention, and this is our experience. So, when we first got there, everything was a little hazy, flying across the country. Got to the Hilton, and there was a big, nice welcome to Washington State. Washington State delegates. We were in North Carolina.
We knew that we were in the right place, obviously. So it was a nice welcome.
It was really nice as we went around the city, around Charlotte. They'd put up big billboards and signs all over the place. Here's a couple of the signs. I don't know if you can see the detail, but you can see the black sort of saran wrap. This was over top, I think, one of the bank signs on the main street. So they covered up their signs and put up our signs, which was very nice of them. And Carolina Fest. So Labor Day on Monday. The convention, of course, didn't start until Tuesday, but lots of festivities going on. A lot of events also that day. But you can see large crowds, delegates, staff members, and people from all over North Carolina and Charlotte. All the local residents were there. Tons of food, tons of vendors, great music, and just a little bit of rain. But really the highlight of the entire trip was seeing our Daily Show correspondents. So I don't know if anybody watches the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, but their correspondents, you probably saw their shows that week. So they were huddling up trying to figure out how they were going to make fun of the Democrats. And James Taylor did a very nice concert for us, or at least he attempted to on Monday at the Carolina Fest. He got through a few songs. When he started singing Fire and Rain, you can see the flag started flapping there. A little bit of a breeze, and then it started dumping. It was pretty incredible. I have never seen rain like that. And here's a little video that gives you a sort of idea of what it was like.
You guys are lagging.
It was raining cats and dogs.
Was it warm?
Yes, it was. Yeah. Well, yes.
It was definitely warm, but not as warm as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It was only in the high 80s, which was pretty similar to what Seattle was when we left. Just a lot more humidity. Humid. But as you're all aware, on Thursday when the president spoke, they canceled the event at the Bank of America Stadium, which is an open-air stadium, because of the 15 to 20 minutes of torrential rains that Charlotte got at 4:30, 5 o'clock every evening, like clockwork.
And various delegates had to all explain their different experiences of how they got caught in the rain that day, doing various things, whatever they were doing.
The best one was someone sent out a message saying, "We're stuck in Hooters. The cops are telling us not to go outside."
Because there's a hurricane.
You want to talk about the...
All right. So obviously during Carolina Fest and during the various events in the city, during the convention and before their convention, there was various eccentric personalities doing different impersonations. And this is one of the nice things that I decided to see that I felt like I had to capture on film. And of course, a lot of interviewers. Constantly you'd see different people, bystanders, delegates being interviewed by various media outlets.
And of course, along with the people who dressed amazingly, there was also a lot of protesters there, as you can imagine. Didn't include those images in those presentations. I'm sure you can Google and get the pictures that those folks had. So I just wanted to point out security. You know, I've been to a lot of big events, but I've never been to an event that had 2 presidents at it, various distinguished folks, ambassadors, top-level celebrities. The security was amazing. So first of all, this fence here, going across the road, it's about, I would say it's about 20 feet high. Went all the way around downtown, or as they call in Charlotte, uptown, every block. And that fence did cause quite a bit of a headache for us trying to get around.
And there was Secret Service that was posted at the fence every which way with, of course, Secret Service.
So, and of course, to get a vehicle into the downtown area, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a vehicle block, major vehicle blocker right up here. Basically, you had to have a pass to get a car in, and then the Secret Service would go through your car with a fine-tooth comb. I saw them taking out the spare tire and searching in there, searching in the engine compartments. Quite the ordeal with security.
And I'll add something else. They actually, the whole time when I was walking downtown, the whole downtown had helicopters above that were circling, and as you walk downtown, you could hear the helicopters like warbling.
So of course, there's a lot of cops just standing around. Charlotte doesn't have enough cops. The Secret Service doesn't have enough officers. So there were officers there from all over the country. Officers from New York City, from Chicago, from Miami, from LA. And they're all wearing their own uniforms. They normally had one Charlotte officer with them to sort of chaperone them. But there were massive roaming bands of cops. Cops on feet, cops on bikes, and then cops on feet with bikes behind them.
And when we got lost, we would ask the cops, we'd be like, oh, do you know how do you, like, I'm looking for this various location, and they'd be like, no, I'm not from around here. So
Yeah.
we decided to stop doing that.
It's eventually you learn which were the Charlotte officers that actually knew what was supposed to be going on and which ones weren't. One day I was at an event that was outside of downtown, and we were coming back by a bus, and I was trying to get to the Planned Parenthood rally. Jill Biden was supposed to be speaking there. The rally was on the other side of this intersection, but this is an Occupy protest that sprung up in the middle and shut down that intersection. You can only see part of the cops. That was a small fraction of the officers that were lined up. To my knowledge, this ended peacefully. But because of the way the security set up with that perimeter, with so many roads blocked and closed, and our bus, of course, was stuck in there, I got off the bus. I found a bicycle taxi, gave him some money, and we spent about the next 45 minutes going a long block to try to get to the other side of the street there. So, you know, we're all for freedom of speech. It's great to see the Occupy protesters peacefully protesting, but it did hamper a couple things. But it was a great experience in of itself to see something like that.
Did you make it? Did you get to
No, I didn't make it. The Planned Parenthood rally had ended by that point, so I didn't make it to that. After that bike ride, I was exhausted from sitting in the back. Found myself some air conditioning, and so I wanted to talk about the media coverage. There were more media people in Charlotte than there were delegates. It was very well covered. There's an MSNBC notice that you are being photographed. And this is the main block in the hall of just a few of the cameras that were around. So I've heard from several of you that you've seen one or both of us on a variety of TV shows, newscasts. So very true. Lots of cameras, and we got our 5 seconds of fame.
Yeah. Anyone on CNN and MSNBC, we probably either saw them up close or from a distance at some point running around, trying to get from one place to another.
So, MSNBC, which I imagine a lot of you watch, this was their setup, their stage. This is in the uptown area, so just outside of the convention where everything was happening at. But it was kind of cool. You could stand right behind them and, of course, wave. And they had a big TV showing you what was being live broadcast, so you could tell when you were on TV and if you could be seen or not. There's a lot of, as you probably saw, people, can you see me now? Can you see?
Yeah, if you watch Chris Matthews' Hardball from the 3 days that he broadcasted, it was insane. His show was especially where people just kept going completely wild. And you could say, but he was still like very serious faced and just like acted like no one was even behind him. It was quite hilarious.
So, on the other side, I just wanted to show you that Fox News was there, and they are the only fair and balanced political coverage, so it was very nice to have fair and balanced coverage at the Democratic National Convention.
I posted this on my Facebook and I said, notice how only is underlined. and I did see Shepard Smith walking in the arena where all these speeches were, and let's just say he didn't look very happy. He definitely had a scowl.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, so on one of the days after I went to the NDI Institutes, I ventured in because aside from MSNBC being set up with their own live broadcast, they also have a museum where you can go through where they have live meet and greets with various people that are on the network. You can pick up a bunch of these that they give out free, and you may just run into one of the stars when they're not supposed to be there. And actually, Chris Matthews looked kind of confused. He was like walking around secretly in there, so I was like one of the first people to see him before everyone else started taking notice. So I had to tell him that I loved his show and get a picture. And then you can see that David Korn was in there as well. He's the one that found the whole 47% video. He was actually the journalist that, if you don't know who he is, so they're kind of having a live debate.
Which one?
David Korn.
He's talking
Chris
to
Matthews
Chris
and David Korn are talking live, unscripted. He's always on Hardball, and he was the journalist from Mother Jones. Michael Steele, the RNC. He's a noteworthy Republican, but as you can see, greeting everyone.
Also, I love listening to NPR, and it dawned on me, seeing all the NPR folks, that I know their voices, but I don't know their faces. Does anybody recognize this lady?
No. Cornish.
Audie Cornish.
Audie Cornish.
Could be. I have no idea. I didn't interrupt her. She was busy recording something, as you can see. But
I know that Audie is
Marla, what's her name?
Marla. No, it's not Marla.
I'll send you her. I'll figure it out. I don't know her name, but I have a place where I can look at all their faces. I'll send
all
it.
right.
He probably knows.
Well, I love listening to NPR, and it was great seeing NPR folks there. It was like, you're not on TV. I don't know what you look like. Can you speak to me for a while? So anyways, as far as the media setup, when you first came into the convention hall, over here they had all the radio hosts. So NPR was over there along with every other public radio station that's around, commercial talk show hosts. And they would bring in their various guests, sit at the tables, and do their interviews there with them.
And the time, this one is actually, because they had a completely separate convention center, which is where the NASCAR Hall of Fame is, and that area was for all the caucuses, the different caucuses. And there was actually on the ground, the basement floor, which is where all the media was set up, and they had this little window where you could look down from the second floor and look into the basement where all this was set up. So, and not everyone realized that. I was wandering around actually looking to charge my phone, and this is how I found this peek window, so I decided to take advantage of that.
And as you all watched the news coverage, you probably saw many newscasters speaking in front of the stage. So this is a behind the scenes. This is their setup. And one was here, and then there was two more on the other side of there's a podium right here. So they were right there in the back. I mean, it might have been cool to be right here. You would have been in a lot of shots, but you would have always been hearing them speaking and yelling at the cameraman to do this or that. So a day in the life of a delegate. So one of our fellow delegates, Al, his name's down there at the bottom, is a professional photographer, and kind of looked like he was wearing body armor with all the vests, and he had, I don't know, it was weird. He had so many cameras hanging off of him. I don't know how he managed through the day, but he took some great photos. This is one of them. But anyway, so our days would start at 7 a.m. in the morning with our, the convention had buses, shuttles for us. But as I alluded to before, traffic was horrendous with all the closed streets and security checkpoints. So the light rail, this is one of the light rail trains, became very popular as the fastest and most efficient way to get into and out of downtown. And you could see they like to stuff us in there like sardines. And then we'd get to the convention hall and get checked in for the various caucuses.
All right, and this is at the Youth Council caucus that we both went to. And these are some state-specific efforts that they said to go over about different issues in various states.
So it's a really good way after a long night of partying. Middle of the day, there's low energy, so they're just going to attempt to somewhat keep us awake and share various information about the campaign. One of the more interesting pieces of slides that I saw was all the different paths to get to 270 electoral votes. Just really quickly, the first one here, these are our base states, the states that we fully expect to win unless something majorly went wrong. And then you have a path up the west getting Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada. If we just win Florida,
We're good.
that takes care of it for us. Then there's the expansion pass. If you can pick up Arizona, of course, picking up Ohio and Iowa together works, and North Carolina and Virginia. So there's many different ways that we can get to 270, which was a great message. It's going to take a lot of work. These are all, of course, battleground states. And as Emilia pointed out the last slide about voter protection, many of these states are doing everything they can to make sure people don't vote.
Yeah, and that was highlighted. That was highlighted a lot in the convention about voter suppression in the various states, especially Pennsylvania, namely. I mean, that's been in the national news a lot lately. Florida.
So after these classes, in the afternoon, we would go to a variety of receptions. One of the most interesting receptions that I went to was the Business Development Council for International Business. And we had several ambassadors here talking about the global economy and how America can lead the global economy, especially since it's so stressed. But heard from ambassadors from Australia, South Africa, Singapore, South Korea. It was a really amazing experience. And also, one of my Peace Corps friends is on the staff and was why I was able to get into Morton's Steakhouse for this event. It's all about who you know.
Yes.
Of course, shopping. We got, get the cool hats, t-shirts.
Harden up, yeah. I got Hardick this
one.
blazer.
Turn around.
The blazer.
Oh, looks good.
Obama. And we've already had people ask at the Aladdin, motor inn that we run in town about it, and that they're happy that we supported. So,
Yeah.
and I thought it was interesting. Whenever you did buy any of those things, you obviously had to sign the slip that you were donating to the Barack Obama campaign.
So, of course, North Carolina, well, any kind of convention has tons of food. North Carolina had amazing food. I just wanted to share a couple spreads that were laid out before us. Amazing foods, amazing pastries, desserts. Of course, lots of meat, every type of meat you could possibly imagine. And then barbecue sauce. So I will point out that only one of these sauces comes from North Carolina. The other sauces you probably can't read, but this is from Memphis, from Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas.
So being a barbecue aficionado, I want to know, did you try the white barbecue sauce and what is it?
I did try the white barbecue. I tried all the sauces.
Uh-huh.
I can't really say what is in it.
What did it taste like?
It was a little tangy. It didn't have as bold of a flavor. The red sauces definitely had a more bold flavor. This was definitely more mild.
Okay, I've never seen that.
Yeah, that was the comment of many of us as we went around. It's like, white barbecue sauce? And then the Eastern North Carolina one, this was very liquidy.
Right.
I'm assuming a Worcestershire base, or pretty much that's what probably is it. I'm not sure.
It's pretty strong vinegar, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, the food was amazing. The only time there really wasn't free food or free drinks were when we were listening to the speeches. Any other time you turn around, there's someone trying to hand you a drink or hand you another plate of food.
What was your favorite sauce?
Myself,
The Texas contingent, we want to know.
Yes.
I like the Memphis sauce. The Texas sauce is also good. They were all tasty, but I like the one that had the most powerful punch to it. Carried a lot of flavor.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So, if you got tired during the day, the heat got to you, all this food or drink got to you,
Or you wanted to talk about your anxiety to someone.
there's a recovery wellness room.
The National Association of Addiction Professionals, is that what this is?
Yeah,
Funny.
that was one of
Yeah,
them.
so there's various things for various people.
Did you ever go to this room?
Yeah.
Do you want to share what it was like
Oh
in there?
no, it was really cool. It was a really nice, quiet environment for anyone to voice their concerns, fears, and just talk about any issues. There was also various media people that would go in there and talk about things as well. So I just thought, I didn't even know that national conventions had any of these type of events, and
Probably
they even
just
had a
the
caucus
Democrats.
for it as well.
Yeah,
So
right.
I thought it was really, yeah.
The
So-
Republicans wouldn't have that. It's a bunch of victims.
Yeah.
You're right, Kate.
Part of the 47.
So being the tech guy that I am, Google had a recovery room set up. I don't have a picture of that here, but it was really nice. You can go in there. They would charge your phone while you're in there, including iPhones. They would charge your iPhone.
Do they have a mobile unit to go around the states and help us old folks get onto Google?
They should.
They should.
But
Intervention
yeah,
program.
there's many different companies that set up various hospitality, recovery,
Right.
cooling off places.
So did the Google Recovery Room have like a bound thesaurus and a bunch of, World Book encyclopedias and phone books? So
There was tons of paper
you
everywhere.
could wean yourself off Google and go back.
Google it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Go
No,
analog.
it was a very fun place. I could have spent a lot of time in there. So, after we got through all this, remember we're still going through the day in the life. We would end up at the Time Warner Cable Arena, where the main events would happen. We only have a couple pictures here. We'll get to more pictures of the actual events in a moment. I did want to point out, once again, Google plug, there were many watch parties around the country, and they set up with Google Hangouts, which we utilized for the 24th LD nominating event that we did.
Oh, great.
So anyways, I was just glad to see technology is bringing us all together.
Great.
It's good to see her and catch up a little bit.
So
Great.
as we went out into the town, some of us found important people to get pictures with. Others of us
Emilia.
updated the internet. So moving right along. Anyways,
So,
the part.
Wait, back up. What did Nancy Pelosi say to you, or did you?
Yeah, I actually said that I was an Italian American. I was an Italian American Young Democrat. Everyone knows that went to the state convention with me when I spoke and got my spot to go to the national convention. I told everyone I'm a proud Italian American Young Democrat, so I made that a point to say to Miss Nancy, and she was very happy to see everyone that night. It was wonderful. You could tell. I mean, she told everyone that night when she was doing that meet and greet at that various party that she wasn't going to, have a political speech. She was obviously in the mood to mingle, meet, and just have a good time in a relaxed atmosphere.
So, just a couple pictures of the parties. At least for myself, I think it's true for Emilia. So the speeches would wrap up around 11:30 or so. And then various folks would host parties, and we'd probably be out on the town until about 3 o'clock in the morning. This picture here is from the welcome reception, one of the more mild parties. And then Emilia, I think, snuck into a VIP party.
Dwight Pels gave me he gave a few different delegates and alternates passes to go to the DGA event, the Democratic Governors event, and they were hosting an event, and they had a VIP tent, and the girl that I was with decided to think that she could get into the VIP tent, so I followed, and we got in there together, and yeah, we got to meet Governor Mark O'Malley. He's the governor of Maryland, and he's on Meet the Press a lot. I actually knew who he was. Like a lot of people didn't even know it was him, and I was like, no, you don't understand. I've seen him on TV. So then she had to look it up on her iPhone and discover it was. Yeah. And I also met, since a lot of you know that I lived in Michigan for 6 or 7 years, so I met 2 nice young men that were from that area. So I had a lot of fun discussing the local political issues of Michigan, and we all knew, we went to similar high schools and such out there, so that was a lot of fun.
And then just some more pictures. Some of the parties were very large and very loud, big stages. If you knew who you were who to talk to, you could get in to see, you know, the Foo Fighters, not the food. As some of you may post, autocorrect's a terrible thing on phones. But the Foo Fighters had a private concert. Several other major bands had private concerts, and if you knew who to talk to, you could get into those.
Or if Dwight gave you passes.
Or if you hung out with the chair.
Yeah.
That's good.
So now we're going to get into, so that wraps up the day in the life from 7 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the morning. Repeat that about 5 times over, and then you're ready to go for the main events here. So once again, the Time Warner Arena from the other side. This is inside the hall before people start showing up. Of course, getting everything checked up on the stage. And, you know, people filing into the hall, getting ready for the event.
This is from my seat, where the alternates sat.
And then you can see it fills up quite nicely in there. My understanding was so, of course, nice big logos everywhere. So every day we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, at least we would attempt to. Gabby Gifford here led us in the Pledge of Allegiance one of the day, of course, recovering from her gunshot wound. Did a great job, very moving, of course, to see her out in public and up in such a major, big event. Very powerful to see her there.
That knocked me out. That was
Yeah, me too.
And then the other Gabby, the Flying Squirrel, I believe, as she's better known, our Olympian. What's Douglas?
Yeah, Gabby Douglas,
Give
the
her a
Olympic gold.
Oh,
She's a
yeah,
2-time
right.
Olympic gold medalist
Oh, wow, how
for this
cool.
year in the London Games.
Yeah.
And so she was invited to do the Pledge of Allegiance on day 2.
Sweet.
So that was her. And yeah, a lot of people at the convention mixed her up with Gabby Giffords. They kept calling each other the same name.
And then the Pledge of, the National Anthem had some amazing people singing it on the first night. I don't know if you watched Glee, but I only know her Glee name. Mercedes from Glee sang the National Anthem the first day, and several other amazing performers throughout the week.
Mark Anthony, yeah, that's Mark
So our Washington sign marking our territory. I don't actually have a good picture, I don't think, as I think of all the pictures. But for those of you who don't know where we were sitting, if this screens the stage, we would have been sitting like right here. So all the way up front and just to the left of the stage. So when all the speakers came onto the stage, they were only maybe 50, 75 feet away from the Washington delegation, granted with about 30 Secret Service agents between us and them too. But
And you can also see that all the various news, they are surrounding the whole thing, CNN, and then they had MSNBC, ABC News, and you can see like filming in there, and it was really interesting because I watched them from like when the big speakers were on, and they would all turn around and just completely watch the speakers in awe before they would go on to talk about it.
so this is part of the Washington delegation here, out to about this point.
How many in the delegation?
Huh?
How many in the delegation?
There, we were supposed to have 120. I think we had 114 when we actually did the roll call vote.
And then there was like 8 alternates and 8 state committee members, and the state committee members had to sit upstairs in the alternate general seating.
So I wanted to demonstrate how loud the Washington delegation is. So this is when Patty Murray is coming onto stage. So anyways, a little demonstration of what we can do from Washington State. Forget the rest of the country there. So of course, before we get too far along, had to get our important rules out of the way. Officially casting the ballot to nominate Barack Obama to continue to be the President of the United States.
Here's the aerial call, the aerial view
So-
of roll call from Washington State from my my phone.
So yeah, I don't know, I think most news networks were talking with various other people during this, but as each state, or each territory, because all the territories got to cast their votes too, they would all leave as soon as they were finished.
Sure.
So when we got to the W's, very few people left in the
I think it
stadium
was
at
like
that point.
11:30 our time, because I was watching,
Yeah.
because that's when I thought I might see you guys.
Yeah.
They had a
So
commercial.
I stayed for the roll call for Washington State.
But then
Well-
they did a commercial.
You can also notice I'm right here, so I did my best to get as close to the middle of the crowd as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I've told a lot of you that that was sort of my constructive criticism is I thought that the roll call was really unique for each state, just who they had speaking, historical people, and just people that have been involved in the party for years and years and years, and so I wish that they would have figured out a way to broadcast that a little bit early, make it more available.
Who spoke for Washington's delegation?
It was Rick Larson.
Rick Larson.
It was Rick Larson.
Rick Larson spoke
Yeah.
the entire time. Oh, I forget his name.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
You know, I just want to mention that I was listening to the roll call and discovered that the woman who cast her the South who represented spoke for the South Carolina delegation, she said that she was the one who called out in the 2008 the fired up.
Ready to go!
Fired up, ready,
Ready to go.
That lovely big black woman. It was just, she was so gorgeous, and I was so excited to discover that that's where that came from.
Yep.
Yeah, if you haven't watched that video, they showed it a few times at the convention, and it's really inspiring. So if you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend. And even they had Barry Goldwater's granddaughter, or was her daughter, who was part of the Arizona
Really?
state delegation,
Oh,
and
cool.
she was and she was a part of the roll call for Arizona.
Good for her.
Yeah.
So over in the Washington delegation area, we're not sure why, but we were graced with Jesse Jackson's presence. He sat with us throughout the speeches. So on one night, he was 3 rows in front of me. So I got to breathe down his neck for the evening.
He's a charismatic guy.
Also, the nice thing about our seats is we had a perfect view of the teleprompter. So we knew when people were on script and when people were off. And also, when the noise of everything, it also helped that we could turn, look at the teleprompter, and see what they were supposed to be saying, even though we couldn't hear it over the roar of the crowds. You want to mention?
And here's Cory Booker. If you don't know of him, he's the wonderful mayor of New Jersey. Yeah, Newark, New Jersey. And he was our special speaker at the state convention. He gave, it brought me to tears personally. And so he spoke, he's a co-chair of the platform committee. And even as one of the delegates at the breakfast, she said, "I'm never going to be bored from platform again. I'm never going to think that platform is boring after I heard Cory Booker's speech on platform." So.
Of course, another very prominent figure, Rahm Emanuel, now the mayor of Chicago. Great speech, very fiery, obviously as is his style.
Yay.
Elizabeth Warren gave a great speech, much better than the picture I took of her. Kind of hard. I was really impressed with the reception that she received when she took the stage. I almost thought that maybe she was the one running for president, the way the crowd responded to her.
Next time.
Yeah, exactly. I think that if she was interested in running, I think there'd be an enormous amount of support for her.
Yeah.
Barney Franks, he was one of the guys that went off script. When he walked out to the podium, he took some paper out of his jacket, I'm assuming it was his speech, and started reading off of that. I looked over the teleprompter. The teleprompter was scrolling up and down for about 5 minutes, and then they just turned off the teleprompter. He went off on his own tangent and didn't care to let anybody know what he was really going to say when he got out there. But still gave a great speech.
And he did a lot on, he talked a lot about Wall Street reform, which I really enjoyed, personally.
Was he funny?
Yes.
Yeah, no, he was good. He's a character. I mean, I don't think he can not help being funny.
Yes, I met a woman that was actually a delegate in Massachusetts, and she said that she got to meet his partner. Came along for the delegation, and she said that his partner is amazing.
So, of course, John Lewis also gave a wonderful speech, and obviously just did an amazing amount of work during the Civil Rights Movement, and is continuing to fight for a lot of those very same rights that they thought they'd achieved some 40, 50 years ago.
Yes, I recorded his speech on my iPhone, actually. Voice recorded it because when I hear his speech, it just overwhelms me. I mean, it's amazing. So if anyone of you would like the speech, you can let me know and I can send it to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, another speaker, former governor of Michigan, I think many of you probably remember this. I was so amazed. Of all the speakers, other than the headliners, she had to have energized the crowd like no other. I thought maybe she was leading an aerobics class up there. But I have a little clip of just how riled up everybody is. Not really.
Oh.
I probably could a little bit more just because we've been.
That's what YouTube's for.
Yeah, you can actually.
Just because we were there doesn't mean we know what they said.
All of us probably had a better seat than you did.
Most likely, most likely. And the nice HD cameras that you were watching through was probably a beautiful shot. So right behind the Washington delegation on the 200 level was, I guess you could say, the presidential or vice presidential suite. Joe and Jill up there. Joe, pointing his finger at people as he's known to do. Our tribute to the troops brought out many veterans, a lot of people who had been injured, and gave them a very big thank you for everything they've done for our country. And also, of course, some celebrity star power. Emilia?
Yeah, I really enjoyed how she talked about youth voter registration, and she talked about her whole life, how her parents really went out of their way to help her understand the importance of voting. And so people that, because I mean, even though like I really love politics and these politicians are like celebrities to me, a lot of my friends don't really know who these people are or wouldn't recognize them, but they would recognize someone like her, so that's the point.
And then, of course, the bands to get us energized. Mary J. Blige out there working the crowd. The Foo Fighters. And the glow of the concert across the crowd here. Great job on the lighting inside the hall.
Huh.
And now we get to the first of our big speeches. There we go. Lovely Michelle. Obviously, an amazing speech that she gave. Set the bar very, very high for her husband.
Yeah, a lot of people there were saying, Michelle, 2016.
Yeah, the chant started going from 4 more years to 12 more years. After Barack's done, we'll get Michelle in there. And then President Bill Clinton, of course. Powerful speech. Here's his reception as he comes on the stage. job of addressing all the criticisms that the other side has of us and just knocking them down one after another.
Was that your show?
And simply,
Yes.
for people that don't know all the technical political terminology, I mean, as he said, don't double down on trickle down.
Another great quote.
Yeah. Oh, that, the piece about arithmetic, it's the arithmetic. I just thought that was just really on par. It was just wonderful.
Well, I like it takes some brass
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
Yes.
accuse a guy of doing something that you did yourself.
Exactly.
I thought that was a great line and so true.
Now, he had so many amazing lines in there. I'm really glad that he took his time with his speech and went over the allotted time, deviated from his script a little bit from time to time. Did a wonderful job. And of course, after his speech, our first glimpse of the president.
Which MSNBC reported that 2 hours before.
Eli,
Yeah.
when I was watching the speech, it looked like Clinton wasn't reading the teleprompter at all, but could you tell?
He would touch on the speech that was on the teleprompter. So they kept the teleprompter going, and it was more like, this is the subject you're supposed to be talking about next.
I see. Yeah.
And that's about all he stuck with.
That's all he needed. Well, he definitely did.
Yeah. So of course, Joe taking the stage, accepting the nomination for the vice presidency. Little play on words. As Phyllis pointed out, the fired up, ready to go. Change that to fired up, ready for Joe. So.
They gave us all signs, and they gave us 2 signs. Fired up, and then ready for Joe.
That's great.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
That's terrific.
And now for the main event, Michelle Obama introducing her husband. And a couple different shots of the president addressing the crowd. I'm assuming everybody's already heard the speech.
Right.
So did they hand you the forward cards? Like were they on your seats or when you walked in?
They had runners, so normally when they were showing a video leading up to something, so you guys probably cut away to watch the video full screen. They'd have runners go up and down the aisles, passing them out. And so then when they came back from the video, we had them. And sometimes they handed them out too early, and some of us got a little overeager and started holding them up. And they'd be yelling at us to keep them down.
There wasn't, it wasn't for the right speech. Or
Too many late nights, you guys.
yeah. Too much caffeine.
And so the line that we were all waiting for the entire week Maybe.
Oh.
Madam Chairwoman, delegates, I accept your nomination for President of the United States.
So yeah, the whole reason why we went to Charlotte, to hear those few words. So then the celebration afterwards.
Just terrific. Look at that.
Daughters.
Aren't they gorgeous?
Yeah.
They're just gorgeous.
And then
Whoops, sorry.
Good job.
Also, before we close, I know a lot of you donated money to both Emilia and myself, including the party as a whole, and we thank you very much for your donations and making it possible so that we could be at this incredible event. So,
Well, you
thank
guys
you
rock.
very much.